G'day, Luke. How you going?
Hi, Dave. Yeah, good. Thank you. Thanks a lot for having me on.
Oh, no problem at all. Thanks for coming on. So I've known you for a little while. Think we met at MVP last year, which I believe was your first backyard ultra. But how long have you actually been a runner for?
Well, I actually got into running directly from observing a backyard ultra experience. So in 2023, so it was almost exactly 2 years ago, I was walking around the Shepparton Lake on a Sunday morning, and a bloke came running past me, and he looked like he was about to die. I mean, I had no clue who it was. He was shuffling along and it looked pretty painful.
Yeah.
And as I was walking further around the lake, another person came past and I asked a couple of the spectators what was going on. And they explained this backyard ultra format for me. And it turns out that I remember seeing that first bloke very clearly. It turned out that was actually Greg Plyer.
I
So it's ever since that I thought I'd love to give that a go, and yeah, so that is actually really like the start of my running journey. I mean, I've run on and off to help me with other sports, and I've been fairly active, but specifically running, I've only really turned my mind to it the last couple of years, 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously a fit dude. I see I mean, there's on YouTube, there's videos of you like boxing and stuff like that. So do you keep did you were you a runner just like to keep fit, like as a boxer?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I'd sort of run, I'd maybe run a couple of times a week. And at that time, I mean, I've played soccer, football or soccer, I call it now, has been my main sport for most of my life. And I've obviously run to help with fitness for football, but also for boxing. They sort of go hand in hand. So prior to concentrating on running, I might have run, 10 or 15 Ks a week at the most over a couple of runs, but I had no idea really about running training specifically or what was required. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you still boxing?
Yeah, my last fight was in November last year, so I haven't fought for 11 months, but I still train 2 or 3 times a week, and I'm one of the coaches at our local boxing gym in Shepparton, GV Boxing. So I'm still very much connected to boxing, and yeah, I do intend to keep active. Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as soccer goes, like what kind of level did you reach playing soccer?
Well, I didn't make it in the professional ranks in England, and I worked in a factory when I left school after year 10. And then when I was 21, I got offered a bloke who I knew had been out to Australia to play soccer here. And through that connection, it was teed up that I would come to Australia. I'd play soccer, get a bit of money, coach the kids' team. So I actually came to Australia on a 1 year working holiday visa, but with it all lined up to play soccer here. So I arrived in 2002 and sort of played semi professionally up here in Shepparton. And then I moved to Melbourne to study, and I played for the Melbourne Knights in the Victorian Premier League. So that was not professional, but just short of being professional, training 3 or 4 times a week and
Mm.
getting paid for it. So that was sort of that was the height of it. But yeah, that's been my main sporting love for all of my life.
Yeah, well, Melbourne Knights, they're a famous club.
Yeah.
Anyone who reads the paper or follows sport at all, they've heard of the Melbourne Knights. So, like, did you like when you were young? Like, did you play with anyone who like went on and became really famous or anything like that?
Not No, I can't say I've played directly with people who've been famous. I mean, some of my friends were making the lower grade of the professional ranks, but it's so competitive. My brother played for a guy who ended up Danny Mills going on to play for England, but I didn't have any. I can't say I had any direct friendship or playing experience with anyone that made it really big in the game. But certainly at Melbourne Knights, I mean, even when I in 2006, 7, 8, I was at Melbourne Knights, and there were several players there that were former national players or going on to play for the A League. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's that sort of level. Yeah.
yeah. Cool. Yeah, so from what I can see, as far as running ultras go, you've only ran backyards. So, like, do you think you'll run in other types of ultras, or is it just backyards for you?
I have been thinking about doing a point to point, and I did my first marathon a couple of months ago, the Shepparton Marathon. And I after the backyard at Shepparton 3 weeks ago, so 2 weeks later, so only last weekend, I did the Beechworth 28K trail run. That was like my first small point to point run. But I have just fallen in love with backyard ultra. Yeah, there's so many facets to that format that have got me hooked. Like I sort of find the running's about, I reckon it's about 20% of what is required in a backyard. Like it's almost, the running's almost incidental to all the other things that you've got to get your head around. So I have certainly fallen in love with the challenge of backyard ultra.
Yeah. So, I remember, like I mentioned before, I met you at your first backyard ultra, which was MVP last year. Do you remember what was your attitude going into that very first backyard ultra? Was it just to see what it was like, or did you want to see how far you could go? Or
Well, I hadn't done a lot of training, and I just thought, yeah, I'll see how far I could go. And I did have 12 hours in mind, getting through the night there at MVP. I'd only been running at that point. So probably October, November, December, I started running in 2023. And I would have been getting up to about 30 kilometers a week, which at that time I thought that was quite a lot. I thought that was a lot of time and commitment to running. But yeah, so I got to 12 hours, but I was completely like beaten up physically and mentally after 12 hours at MVP. It was that first lap at MVP, because Shepparton's so flat. I remember that first lap at MVP, getting back and seeing my daughter Della and saying, gee, that's a pretty tough track, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, you did well to do 12 hours in your first one, but so was it like harder than you expected it to be?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I just that I just was not. I hadn't done any research, so I didn't really know that there was. I just didn't understand that there was that much elevation, and given how flat Shepparton is, I was just not accustomed to the hills, so that was a bit of a rude awakening, that one. But yeah, it was great fun. It was really good fun to get through the dark hours.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a perfect backyard to do if you want to run through a night because it starts at
Yeah,
7 p.m. So
yeah. It's a great. I think it's a great way to start, even though it's a tough track. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's awesome. So I checked the times for that one. So you did your last loop, your 12th loop in 54 minutes. So did you just feel like you were 12 hours was enough, or was it like you felt like you were physically done, or
On at that one, I rolled as you're coming down the steep hill on that gravel at night. I had a really poor quality head torch, and I rolled my ankle. I sort of pinged my ankle, and I didn't realize until afterwards, but that was getting worse and worse. I thought it was just general sort of ankle soreness, but that was causing me a problem, especially when there's a couple of sharp turns at MVP. I recall that becoming like a real problem, and I just wasn't accustomed to being running in discomfort, so it was all a bit much. And I just had made it through 12 hours, and that was the sort of target I'd set. And without being familiar with discomfort and pain and what was required, I was pretty much done. Yeah, I was pretty happy with it.
yeah. You're a pretty like strong looking guy. Like it looks, I mean, by looking at you, I would tip that you do a bit of weights and things like that.
Yeah, I used to do a lot of weights, Pato. I actually got into powerlifting, so I'm very small. I mean, I did a lot of bench press when I was a kid, and my mum was a very good amateur bodybuilder.
Mm.
So when I was a teenager, I would go to the gym, and my mum was a bit of a role model to me in that regard. My brother and I would do weights. But about 10 or 15 years ago, I got into powerlifting, and bench press was my speciality. So I managed to bench 120 kilos, which was double. I only weigh 60 kilograms, so that was getting up to sort of a fairly elite level if you can bench press double your body weight. So I was lucky that my mum sort of got me into bodybuilding at a young age, and that's always sort of stuck with me I
Yeah.
haven't. Uh, I should actually do a bit more of it, but I must say it probably isn't that compatible with running long distances. But there is some
Yeah.
balance there. Yeah.
So have you changed the way, like, are you like still doing strength work, but you're doing it to improve as a runner? Like you're doing it to complement your running?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I sort of do weight training once or twice a week, and I do boxing 2 or 3 times a week. But given how much time is required for running, it's hard to fit it all in. And I've got 4 kids, and I've got a 5-year-old in my sole care. So if I didn't have a job, I'd probably continue to do weight training a bit more consistently. But I do still do weight training a couple of times a week. But the focus is probably shifted from upper body to lower body at the
Mm.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you make the decision that you were going to go all in 100% with backyard ultras?
I think it was probably that MVP first experience that I just having done it, I thought this is really challenging, really fun, and I think I probably am quite attracted to it because seems like I'm 46 now, and it seems like you're not over the hill even when you're in your 50s. Like so that is, I think that's really given me that incentive that I just feel like I could have 10 years at getting a lot better if
Yeah.
I stick to the format. Whereas, I mean, soccer, I just can't do that twisting and turning anymore. And boxing obviously has its dangers. But so, yeah, it was definitely the MVP first experience. But also that Shepparton event, having that event in my hometown in Shepparton, that gave me that was a real motivator to do that first one at Shepparton last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then once I'd got that under my belt, I remember messaging Rob, the race director, immediately after that I did 28 loops, and I said to Rob, next year I reckon I can definitely knock up 50 loops.
Really
So
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, that was good to follow through with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about your coach and how that partnership came about.
Yeah, so for about 12 months I've been getting coaching from Sam Harvey. I
Yeah.
think it might have been after one of his 100K or 100 miler that I think I just saw a lot about him, and then just saw some of his coaching advertising and just reached out to him. And then, yeah, he's been doing all my programming and giving me guidance for about 12 months. So he is, he's one of a kind. Like he is such a tough, ruthless individual. Yeah, there's a lot I think I take so much from him, but he's so ruthless. I can almost feel like there's things that he does that I know I can't do, and I'm mindful that
Right.
yeah, I can't, yeah, just can't keep up with that. Like the way he's obviously run those dead Cow Gully
Yeah.
and ultras, and the condition he was in after his 100 miler win, like he is just one of a kind. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So how much of a difference has it made for you having Sam Harvey as your coach?
Well, it's just what running coach what running has really taught me is, in having a coach, is just it's all about discipline and consistency, and just bit by bit over time. And Sam has been very helpful in that regard. Like, I mean, I always think of the saying, like, there's only one way to eat an elephant, and that's one small bite at a time. And running has really put that into a perspective for me. I sort of have learned a lot. I think there's a lot to take from running into life in general. And yeah, he's been very motivational and inspirational. And yeah, he's definitely, when you're in a backyard ultra and you know he's watching or following you, it certainly gives you motivation to not stop.
Yeah. So I reckon Melbourne front yard was probably your breakthrough race when you ran 34 yards. That was your first time breaking 30?
Yes, yeah. So the journey has been 12, 28, 34. Yeah. So that I actually did MVP this year and got 23. So I went up from 12 to 28. Then I went back down to 23, but I felt pretty good finishing at 23. I had to get back to Shepparton, but yeah, 34, the front yard. Yeah, that was the first time I'd entered the second night. So I did quit in the dark there, and that was the first experience of hallucinations for me.
Right. Yeah.
And
A lot of people, it was something about that race. A lot of people said they were having hallucinations, but
yeah, I thought when I kept getting into the woods there, I thought that foxes were constantly like running across my path.
right.
So I was in two minds as to whether it was actually happening, and then when I was getting onto parts of the concrete, it was happening again, and I sort of realised that must not be real here.
Right. Yeah.
And I didn't have any. I'd certainly learned. I'd had no caffeine plan at all for that one. So that was a big, it was good advancement, but it was some good lessons learned on that one as well.
Yeah. I remember speaking to you at that race, and you told me that you had made it a goal to make the UK Sat Champs team.
Yeah, I do remember you coming. It would have been, I think, on the second day, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I was crewing for farms. I got there about loop around 23rd hour. Yeah.
Yeah, I because I got so interested in the format, I started looking at some of the rankings, and I realised that in the Great Britain team, it looked like you only needed about 40 loops to get onto their 15 in this current qualifying phase.
Mm.
So yeah, that became like a bit of a goal for me to wonder whether I could get to that level. So that I do remember talking to you about that at MVP. I think it was about 40 I needed to get. So I felt like I got close, but again, I was pretty broken at the 34-hour mark.
Yeah, yeah. The so just and so where in the UK are you from?
I was born and bred in Norwich, which is in East Anglia, which is, if you look at the map of England, it's sort of on the right hand side on the east coast, above London, but over on the east coast.
Yeah, okay. And I mean, do you know many of the or any of the backyard ultra runners over there in the UK? Like, have you been messaging any of them or anything like that?
Yeah, I until last week the answer to that was no. So
Right.
last week when I listened to your show with Dom about Biggs, I sent Dom a message on Strava just saying, look, I'm really keen to try and get into the Great Britain team, but I don't want to come over there as a complete outsider. So I said to Dom, like, can you sort of hook me up with some contacts? So I'm just starting that process now to try to get some social contacts. I just, if I am going to go over there, I'd really like to be part of the team and to have some real input. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. So, I mean, that performance at Melbourne, I mean, that was a good performance. I mean, it was a big improvement, 34 yards. Getting into the 30s is always hard to do. So, how much did that run give you confidence that you were like on the right track and you were on target to reach the 40s and even 50s?
Yeah, I'd probably take a bit. I think I took more confidence. I often judge my run compared to how many people are left when you quit,
Yeah.
because I think that's just relative to that, whatever weather and whatever challenges the course gives you on that day. So I think I might have been like the fifth, I can't remember now. I think Farms, Crow, Doob, and Nichols were still in it when I quit. So I might have been fifth to drop. And yeah, it was definitely, I remember that those guys were in a group ahead of me in that second night, and I just couldn't quite keep up with their pace. And I was thinking to myself, look, I'm now getting into that last batch of really good quality runners. So it felt like I'd sort of broken through, I guess, yeah, into a higher
Yeah.
level. Yeah.
Do you feel like it's interesting you say that like you were at the back of the pack, but you were still coming in time. Was it, do you think it like played on your mind like a bit psychologically that you were at the back of the pack and that kind of like may have like been a contributing factor to you like stopping because you just thought that it was you were the logical next person to drop?
Yeah, I would say that I don't like to admit that when I'm sort of refreshed and thinking straight. But at the time, I think that that was definitely a relevant feature in stopping. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that does make sense to me. That was the way I felt, like that they're quicker than me, they're coping better than me. Naturally, I'm probably the next one to drop. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So you mentioned caffeine. Did you pinpoint, was that the main area that you felt you could improve in? Were there any other areas that you pinpointed that you could improve in for your next race, which was Dead Cow Gully?
Yeah, caffeine was definitely. I think caffeine was like the highlight flaw for me. And then I've always been mindful that I'm just new to running, and my legs haven't. I just haven't got the K's in my legs over time.
Mm,
And I can't, I'm mindful that you can't rush that, so that isn't a stressful factor for me. But just, yeah, just definitely the caffeine, and then just knowing that I just need more time on the legs and more experience. Um, and crewing up, my daughter has put in some monster efforts in the crewing, sometimes on her own, and we got a bit of help from our friends Helene and Zeta on that MVP. They literally drove to Melbourne, helped me set up, drove back to Shepparton, and drove back on the second night to help.
mm.
So just mainly caffeine, tidying up the crewing a little bit with getting a bit more support, and generally getting more time on the legs. And I felt like we're on the right trajectory. Yeah.
Yeah. And so how have you worked out your caffeine plan now? Like how did you do it in your last race at GV, for example?
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not perfect science, but obviously, having spoken to Sam and knowing what he does with caffeine, I went to. I just used no dose
Yeah.
quite frequently. I think I probably overdid it on the first night and felt like I got the shakes a little bit, but generally, yeah, using no dose through the nights, and I also implemented a bit of a fast lap, slow lap at Shepparton, which
Right.
I didn't do at Dead Cow Gully. Um, and I think those two factors, the caffeine and the fast lap, slow lap, have been helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was at Dead Cow Gully, and I didn't realize that you were going to be there. And I saw you pumping out those yards, and I thought, oh, that's Luke Slater. So when was the decision made to run at Dead Cow Gully?
I think Della and I, my daughter, I think we booked it 3 or 4 months prior.
Mm,
And that was quite a logistical task for us because, yeah, it was just difficult. But that was just one of the best weeks of our lives, like for
yeah,
both of us to be there. Like, I mean, I've been to a lot of significant sporting moments in my life, particularly with, football and cricket and boxing. I've been to cup finals in England and been to Vegas for big boxing matches, but that was like right up there with one of the best sporting experiences of my life. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And was that the motivation to go there? Was it to run with all these absolute backyard ultra superstars? Or was it also because you knew it was an opportunity for you to run a big race?
I think probably I was in awe of the Dead Cow Gully Backyard Ultra YouTube video
Yeah,
where Sam, ran himself onto that catch.
yeah,
That just had me. Yeah, that I found that to be quite emotional watching that. And then I thought, yeah, obviously knowing Sam was going to be there, and I didn't realize when we booked, I didn't expect it to be. I was in awe of the people that were there when we finally got there, and that wasn't really the motivating factor to see all those superstars, but it was, yeah, an incredible experience.
yeah. Um, yeah, you must have been in heaven, like when you were out there running loops with all those legends. Was it just like amazing?
Yeah, and just the mix of people there from all over the world. Like one lap, I was trying to talk to the Japanese fellas, and then another lap talking to Jen Russo and talking to Harvey. Like, yeah, and then Sam. I was sort of walked and ran half a lap with Sam, and Yeah, and then getting down, I think I was probably about 23rd last to drop there. And I remember getting to 40 and looking at that leaderboard with the tags that were remaining, and there was like most of the people still there were sort of champions from their own country, or they, several of them had done 100 yards, so that felt pretty special to be in that mix.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so what ended that run? What ended that race for you?
On the second night, I started getting quite a sharp pain at the bottom of my shin. And I thought it might be a stress fracture or something. I wasn't familiar with it. Then my ankles, both ankles, were starting to swell and I was getting a lot of discomfort. And I didn't really know what it was at the time. Um, and I think it must have come just from all those sort of mounds of grass on the paddocks and that I just
Yeah.
wasn't used to. And that along with the general fatigue and getting to 41 thinking I'd done pretty well, and that was actually the target, was to get over 40, because it was the sort of GBR team of 15, was the mark, about 40 or 41. So that all fell apart. Della, my daughter, was absolutely exhausted because she was crewing on her own. There was also no phone reception, which we hadn't really prepared for that. So for a teenager to be without any any data or anything, that was quite a difficult experience. She was on her own as well, so
Yeah.
I felt sorry for her. But yeah, we were both just absolutely spent at that point.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that lower shin issue that you mentioned, a lot of runners felt that. That was a common. I mean, Joel had it, Margie had it as well, and I'm sure that there are others as well. So you definitely weren't the only one.
Yeah,
And they all credit it was those tufts of grass as well as the cause of that.
yeah. I've always had fairly awful blisters. I haven't mentioned that because Sam Harvey's told me that you can't stop running for blisters,
Yeah.
which I've slowly accepted. Yeah. So, but I've always had blister problems, and I got them really quite severely at the Cow Gully. I almost had to go on to antibiotics afterwards. But
Oh, really?
yeah, I find that it's not until the second or third day after a backyard ultra that you can actually look back and think whether you quit too early or not.
Yeah.
And certainly after Dead Cow Gully, I thought about not getting on the plane the next night because I was so swollen still. So I sort of felt like I definitely took it as far as I should have taken it.
Yeah. How long did you stay there for? Like, did you,
So
like,
we had to sleep in the car, in the hire car. That would have been at midnight. Della and I went and had a nap in the back of the van for about 4 or 5 hours, and then we got back up at sunlight as the runners were then coming into 47, 48 hours,
oh, yeah,
and we stayed until about lunchtime, and then we drove back to Brisbane and got the flight the next day home. Yeah,
yeah, perfect. So,
yeah.
um, so I'm guessing that GV was always the plan as you're a Shepparton local and it's the race that started this whole journey for you.
Yeah, that was definitely like I felt like that was like sort of, I guess, my cup final. Like that was the moment where I'd done 4 or 5 backyard ultras. I'd been running for a couple of years, so got some Ks in the legs, had all of Sam's support and tips, flat track, loads of helpers. That was, yeah, a bit of a perfect opportunity for me.
Yeah, yeah. The way you accrued, especially towards the end, was awesome. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I was so lucky. That was the way it panned out was not planned, but it was a really great way to finish it. Those last few hours with the way it went down was great. Yeah,
yeah. Um, I mean, it was such an awesome field. So, with so many good runners in it. So you must have known it was a really good opportunity for you to run into some new territory as well. Like you knew for sure this race was going to go into the 50s. So, um, you knew that, right?
I thought it would go into the 60s. Yeah, I remember talking to Matt Doob. It was early on. It was probably 6 or 8 hours in, and I remember saying to him, "I think you're going to have to work a bit harder this time around." And he said,
Yeah,
"Yeah, for sure."
yeah,
So yeah, it ended about when I thought it would. I thought it would go into the 60s, yeah. But then looking at, you just never can tell, can you, how it's going to pan out? So I thought I'd probably, if I had to put a bet on someone at the start, I think I would have gone for Barry Keane.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was in really good shape, but perhaps maybe he'd done sort of too much in the lead up. I know he had a couple of back to backs there.
Yeah, well, he did 62 at Dead Cow Gully, and then only a few weeks later, he finished as the last one standing at Wild Dogs. So you're having a huge year.
Yeah,
But I mean, it just goes to show how hard it is to go beyond the 50s into the 60s. And especially when you're there, you realize how long it actually is. Like,
yeah,
they finished like during the third night. So 60 hours is a long time.
yeah, yeah, definitely. It sort of feels like, so when you start these runs now, I feel slightly depressed in the first 12 hours because you know you're so far away from when it sort of is going to start for you for real. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was looking at your Strava weeks, and it looks like you peak at around 100 kilometers a week when you
Yeah.
build up for a race.
Yeah. I think one week I knocked up 125 maybe, but yeah, I've been sort of putting in 10, 11 hours a week of running, which has come up to about 100. Yeah. So um, that's where I'm at the moment. Yeah.
Do you think you'll keep things at around that level, or do you think one of the keys to go even further is to increase the amount of weekly mileage that you're doing?
I'm pretty mindful of the mileage. My unqualified thoughts are, I mean, I'm not a coach and I don't know much about the science, but I I remember seeing Rose running, 160, 170 Ks, I think.
Mm.
And I remember thinking that's so many Ks to be running. Like, it just seems like you're putting yourself on the edge, and it didn't work out for her. So yeah, I think age experience is relevant to how much running you're doing.
Mm.
And for me, I mean, I don't know what Sam has planned, but I query for someone who has started running later in life and is in their late 40s whether knocking up those Ks is actually helpful. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I mean, some of the best backyard ultra runners, they run around 100 kilometers a week. Like Scott Snell, for example, it looks like he runs about 100 kilometers a week, and he's one of the best. So, I mean, I
Yeah,
think it just varies on who you are.
yeah, I did. I remember talking to, is it Orion, the Spanish guy?
Oh, yeah,
Did yeah, he was telling me that he very rarely goes over 100. I think he was telling me 80 to 100K a week,
right.
and he makes sure he does 2 or 3 strength sessions, and that was certainly as important. It seemed like that was as important to him as just knocking up Ks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And if you're running, um, like every few months, you're running these backyard ultras where you're doing 30, 40, 50 hours, that's, I mean, that's a lot. So
yeah,
also
yeah.
doing 100-mile weeks, for example, that does sound like it could be too much.
Yeah, I actually can't. I mean, the way my life is, I can't run.
Mm.
I can't really run if I was running 160 Ks a week, I'd either be negligent with some of my parenting duties,
Yeah.
or I wouldn't be getting a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
And there's just that balancing act. Yeah, I'm often I'm often getting out the door at 11 p.m. at night to go running
Mm.
just because that's the only time I can. And then I'm weighing up, do I go running early in the morning or do I get that extra hour's sleep? So it's always a bit of a balancing act.
Yeah. So as far as your game plan for GV went, like, did you make any adjustments to the plan or strategy from what you had learned from the run at Dead Cow Gully?
Just had a bit more. Literally, I had a written plan. It was the first time I'd put into writing a plan that I gave to anyone that was helping me crewing, which was 3 or 4 people. And that was just ideas of the foods that I'm going to be using and what the content is. Just a bit of an idea about what my plans are for the night loops that I found to be is that I think you need to plan for.
Yeah.
So it was generally across the board a little bit more planning and organisation and structure. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you also did like one fast loop, one slow loop. Was that alternating, like taking
Yeah.
turns? And was that from the very start of the race?
For just nights, yeah. So I in my plan I had the night shift 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., which was what I sort of considered to be the 8 hour night shift. I divided it into like three shifts as if you were a shift worker, mornings, lates, and nights.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had between 10 and 6, I had the fast lap, slow lap plan. That wasn't something that Sam has told me to do, but that was something that I thought might help me get through the second night if I've just got that stimulation of having a plan and focusing on getting through that. And I thought it would also help the crew know what sort of times I'm planning to get in and what they would be required to do on a fast loop and what they'd be required to do on a slower loop. Yeah.
Yeah. And did you also like tell your crew like some things as far as motivation goes, like things that you want, the type of things you want them to say to you that you know you
Yeah.
respond well to?
Yeah, I did a little bit. Yeah, there was a little bit of that in the plan. I was definitely making it very clear to them that I didn't want any encouragement to be quitting and that it was really important to me that when they weren't, we had a bit of a shift roster. You know, when they weren't on shift, I really wanted them to rest and get rest because that's important to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I mean, word was floating around at GV that you were targeting 50 yards. So, like, yeah, like, how long had that been your target for? Was that as soon as you finished at Dead Cow Gully, you said, I'm going to do 50 yards at GV?
No, well, it was literally a week after I did the 28 yards at Shep. I sent that message to Rob to say, I've got a feeling I could knock up 50 next year.
Yeah,
But I mean, I know it's not. I know it's not encouraged to be setting numbers. I think I've got an alternative view about that, and I think that it's been quite helpful to me. And I haven't yet, touch wood, I haven't run myself into the ground to the point where I've gotten an injury that has prevented me from running again straight away. So I think maybe if you're in it long term and you want to be sensible about it, I think there is definitely some benefit to, not necessarily strictly running to a number, but having a target I think can be healthy.
yeah. Um, so there were a lot of firsts for you at GV. Like, you made it through the second night for the first time. You made it to the 50s for the first time. You made it to the top three for the first time. But making it through that second night, was that a big focus point for you?
Yeah, that was where I knew that was the make or break for me. So I even to the point that I asked my daughter Della and Helena, the other major crew member, to both be there for most of that second night. So that I just wanted to make sure that we were as a team really having a crack at getting through, and yeah, that that worked out really well.
Mm,
I think starting at 12, also what made it more feasible was obviously starting at 12.
yeah,
So you weren't, yeah, I was getting through the second night was not, yeah, it was taking me towards the PB, but I wasn't going in, other than it being night and the second night, I wasn't sort of going into unknown numbers. Yeah.
yeah, because Dead Cow Gully started at 7 a.m., right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So how were you feeling physically when you're out on that PB matching yard of 41 compared to how you felt on yard 41 at Dead Cow Gully?
I can't really, I don't have a very good recollection I've got a really hazy recollection of
Mm.
feelings at certain points in time. I remember being in the 30s and feeling pretty bad. I remember running with um, Jason and a couple of the other lads, Crazy, the lad they called Crazy,
Oh,
and
crazy running man. Yeah.
yeah, I remember running, and Sean, who was also done some work with Sam. I remember we were all sharing some feelings that we were feeling. I think it was in the mid 30s. We were all feeling pretty low,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to stick at it, and that I was highly motivated by getting through to sunlight on this. What was it? The third day, yeah. So getting into the 40s. getting into the early 40s, getting into the PB, that also coincidentally was when the sun was rising.
Yeah.
So that was a big motivating factor. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And was there a stage of the race like at GV where you were completing yards, but the way you were feeling, you would have stopped in previous backyards? Like, did like in the 30s that you mentioned, like were you feeling a way that in the past you might have dropped?
Probably not. Probably not dropped. I think you just have to manage. I was feeling. There were points in time. I do constantly get the feeling that comes to my mind is I don't remember this being this hard last time.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember it being this hard. So I think they're just thoughts that come in and you've just got to try and manage them. But yeah, generally I had a lot of negative thoughts, but not. I wasn't on the verge of I wasn't thinking about definitely quitting at those points.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome how with backyard ultras you can actually um, get Sam Harvey as your coach, who's like ran 118 yards, like the second best of all time. Like you wouldn't be able to go in with boxing and get Mike Tyson as your coach or David Beckham as your coach in soccer, but this is the kind of like equivalent to that, but in backyard ultras.
I was thinking that just when before I dialed into this, like, especially when someone like Sam, he's in the prime of his career. It's like in soccer or boxing, coaches obviously aren't in the prime of their career. They've finished their career and they're coaching. So it is that is quite unique and quite special to have that advice and motivation. Yeah.
Yeah. And was Sam in contact with your crew, like giving them hints and like while you were out on course, was they in contact with him at all?
Yeah, my two daughters, Scarlett and Della, my two older daughters, they were having direct contact with Sam, and then he sent me a couple of motivating videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, he sent me some voice recordings and some videos, which was it was very motivating.
Yeah, excellent. So, I mean, those last, I'm tipping that that was probably happening like during those last few
Yeah,
loops.
yeah, it was.
I
It
mean,
was 40, 45 onwards. Yeah,
yeah, and I mean, that was pretty hardcore, and I was so lucky. I mean, everyone who was there to witness it, like they were witnessing something special. The way you kept on going out, because it looked like it was really, really hard. So, what were you telling yourself while you were out there to keep yourself going?
well, I think I felt like I had like a lot of not responsibility is probably not the word. I was just motivated by how much the support I was getting was really motivating me to keep going. So I think, yeah, I think there's without that support and encouragement and the way that they were crewing, I definitely would have stopped
Yeah,
at a few hours earlier.
yeah,
So it was almost like, yes, I'm the one person that's running, but I'm part of this team, and look how much they're putting into it. Like it just meant so much to all of us. That was very special.
yeah. And could you tell that the other people there who were just watching, they were getting right behind you as well, like cheering you when you went out and cheering you when you came back in?
Yeah, definitely felt a lot of like support. It's hard, isn't it, when you're so sort of fatigued and you're a bit spaced out. Things were starting to get a bit wonky for me when, like, I was things were getting a bit distorted at that point for me. Like it
Yeah.
was all unfolding, but yeah, definitely, I was definitely feeling the support for sure.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it looks like it was just total exhaustion thing that got you in the end. Would that be right?
Yeah, I don't, I might have had literally 1 minute here or there sleep,
Mm,
but one of the, uh, I didn't sleep well I didn't rest or sleep well very effectively at this one. And I'm assuming I was very, very well rested going into the race. And I used a lot of caffeine.
mm,
So and I had a lot of like support people there. So I think those factors probably lent themselves to me sleeping not particularly well rather than it being anything else. And I think by the end that was having an effect. Yeah.
mm. I remember you came in. I'm not sure if it was the after 51 or 52, but you came in with maybe 1 or 2 minutes to go, and you lay straight down on your stomach. You got a quick massage, and I was, and you, but you still got up. and you still started the next loop. It was pretty awesome because you looked totally gone, but you just didn't give up.
Yeah, I wanted to sort of sensibly push it right to the end, not Sam Harvey style, but somewhere close.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's hard because unfortunately, I mean, I'm self-employed. I've got kids and stuff, so that does always. You look at what Sam Harvey does, and he just literally he would run to death. And
yeah,
uh, I'm perhaps slightly more sensible
yeah,
than that, but yeah, that's not disrespect to him. That's incredible.
yeah. So was there any part of your body that was like hurting, like you remember that was actually like hurting a lot, like when you finished GV, or not really?
The legs were not too bad. I had just feet were really sore, and it was more. I think just the fatigue and the lack of sleep was probably the main factor. That in combination with the way that my feet felt.
Mm.
But yeah, that was about what ended up. I mean, I think if it was life or death, I could have done a couple more, but mainly the general overall feeling of fatigue. I actually, like I said earlier, it's not till 2 or 3 days later you realize perhaps how far you pushed it. For the first time, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, I had heaps of like ulcers in my mouth for days afterwards, on my tongue and in my mouth.
Right, okay.
So I presumably I was just, that was just my immune system was at an all-time low, but that was the most painful thing for the 4 or 5 days afterwards was the
Right.
mouth ulcers, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never had that before. I mean, I think I've had like my mouth has felt funny after a backyard ultra, and that's mainly due to just all the junk I've been eating.
Yeah.
But at GV, this for the first time, I actually finished the race, and I found I had a black eye under my eye. It was like a bruise. I don't know what caused it, and then a couple of days later, it just went away. So I don't know what that.
Yes, right. Yeah, yeah, you're not quite sure at the time when you're running what damage you're doing, are you? You're not
Yeah.
quite clear at that time. But yeah.
Mm. So I mean, it was a huge run. I mean, and everyone loved watching your performance. I mean, but was this a performance like where you've got no regrets and no doubts about the way it ended for you, or do you wish you did
Yeah.
one more?
Yeah. I was thinking today again before I came on the show that could have done a couple more. Yeah, could have done a couple more. Yeah, yeah. But nah, I think yeah. I try to be. I try to have like a sensible reflection, and I felt pretty done.
Yeah.
It was. I think it's been like a really good. I've been so surprised in Shepparton. I think the format and that event has been fairly unknown by the general population,
Mm.
and it must have had. I mean, there was a big news article, but I think it had TV and radio coverage as it was unfolding on Sunday and Monday. There are so many people that I don't know recognize in Shepparton that have come up and said you're the guy that did that running, and
Yeah.
it's been a really it's caught heaps of attention in the town, which is great. Yeah,
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it looked like there were a lot of locals taking part in the race as well.
yeah. I wasn't sure how many Robert. No, I wasn't sure how many locals. There was definitely 20 or 30, perhaps, out of the
Yeah,
130. Yeah.
yeah. So we talked earlier about how you're a boxer, a soccer player. As far as your sporting achievements go to date, where does the 52 yards at GV rank?
Uh, um, well, I've had a lot of success in boxing in the last 9 years, but that has all been within the masters age category.
Mm.
So it's sort of, yeah, there's a bit of a handicap to that. So I think with it being like open age group, this backyard ultra, probably does feel like the most special achievement that you're competing in an event that's open to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't. I mean, I haven't won anything or I
Yeah.
haven't. I mean, part of me, I haven't really done anything yet. But it's funny, isn't it? Because in backyard ultras, I was listening to your podcast last week about who's going to bigs, and there's so many runners there that have only done 20, 30.
Yeah.
yards. It's and you can commonly win a backyard ultra with doing perhaps
Mm.
30 yards, but I feel like I sort of haven't really achieved anything.
So, how awesome is it though that when you mentioned before that with backyard ultras, you're still young, and you've got years and years in front of you to keep improving. So, do you see backyard ultras as something you're going to continue to do till you can't anymore?
Yeah, I've got an urge to get 100 loops.
Yeah,
I don't know whether that's possible or whether I would be able to do that, but that is something that sticks in my mind. And then I had a lot of chats. I exchanged some messages with Jen Russo this week, actually wishing her all the best
right.
for bigs, and she's very motivating for me. Like so she's so down to earth and such a beautiful person, but so strong, like
Mm.
just incredibly strong.
Yeah, yeah. That run at Dead Cow Gully, that was awesome.
Yeah,
That was so impressive.
yeah.
Um, so I see it was only a few days after you finished GV, you're out there moving again. So you must have pulled up quite well.
Yeah, I did a very slow park run for what Monday. I finished running Monday afternoon, the park run Saturday morning. I did, yeah, the very slow park run, which felt okay. It was funny. I was doing the park run with my son, and I said, "This all seems very familiar because the park run is around the lake, Shepton
Yeah.
Lake." And then I realised within that week I'd done like 73 park runs
Right. Yeah.
around that track. So it was good. It was quite a funny reflection. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was I was a bit sore. It's still a bit sore, but I probably shouldn't have done this Beechworth trail run because I actually gave it a bit of a crack, and there was nearly I think there was 900 meters of elevation,
Right. Yeah.
and that was only 12 days after I stopped running at Didco, and that was hard. Like the last 5Ks of that trail run, I was really seizing up with cramps and stuff.
Right. Yeah. The first run, I had a week off running after GV, and the first run back, it almost felt like I was running the last loop of Backyard Ultra again. I was thinking,
Yeah,
oh, now I remember why I stopped because
yeah,
it was so hard.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So what races have you got earmarked for the next few months?
I've sort of got a bit of a running. I've got some goals I've put down for next year.
Yep.
So my focus is just sort of um, trying to be consistent with the running plan between now and Christmas.
Yep.
I think Sam's pretty keen for me to improve my sort of 5K and half marathon time, so a bit more speed work,
Yep.
but probably yeah, knocking up 100Ks, and then the next run probably MVP again
Yeah.
because I feel a real connection to that one because it was my first one.
Yeah. And I think I read in that article like you want to win it.
Well, yeah, I had a look at the history of that race. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pato, but I think the track record's 41. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. Ben Nichols,
And
41.
Nichols, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the heat, and I'm lucky because I live in Shepparton, which, although it's flat and not great for MVP training, we get some serious heat here in January.
Mm.
So it's like the perfect climate for preparing for MVP.
Yeah.
And I'll probably head up to Dookie, which is a town about 25 k's out. There's a big hill there.
Yeah.
But I'll probably try and do a bit more elevation running, which is another thing that Sam wants me to do more of. Interestingly, Sam was looking at my Strava last week and he said I'd run 1,000 kilometers more than him this year, but he has done double the elevation that I've done.
Right.
And so that was a bit of a stark reminder of how flat most of my running is.
Yeah. Well, it's a flat place, isn't it,
Yeah.
Shepperton? Like,
It is, yeah, and he's obviously in New Zealand doing most of his running, so
yeah. Yeah.
it's lots of
Um,
that.
so what
But
about
I didn't, yeah, I don't like to say things like I want to win it because it sounds a bit arrogant, but my aim is to really have a crack at getting close to the course record there.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be cool. What about Melbourne?
Yeah, Melbourne front yard. Um, I'm just mindful that I probably should. Um, I need to plan next year. If I was going to go to all the way to England for the World Champs in October, I just have to be a little bit sensible with the planning. And
Yeah,
I feel a real affection for MVP and Dead Cow Gully.
yeah.
I know Dead Cow Gully won't be next year what it was like this year, perhaps, but I still feel a little bit drawn to that one again. So I would say. Um, and I'm lucky because Sean gave me a call a few weeks ago to say that because I'd finished in the top 10 at MVP, front yard,
Yep, Melbourne. Yep.
they were offering free entry, I think, to that one. So,
Yeah.
and then I've had Echuca's close to me, but one of my friends wants me to crew him at Echuca, Jeremy. So I'll probably um, give him a hand with crewing. That would be my first experience of crewing.
Oh, yeah, cool. That Jeremy Curtis, is it?
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that will be. That will be my next one. So I'll see you at Two Rivers, but I'll be running.
yeah, yeah, great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a bit of time off, Palo.
Yeah, I think so. I really do enjoy the crewing side of things as well, and I want to do a few. Don't want to do four a year anymore. I just want to limit. Well, I want to try with two next year because it's a big thing. It's also a big thing for asking people to crew me all the time and stuff as well. So Two Rivers will be my next one, but I'll be at MVP crewing and I'll be at Melbourne crewing. So
Yeah, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I don't know. It's hard to know how many we should how many of these you should do a year.
yeah,
I've done four this year, and it feels like um, the body has held up okay, but I'm not sure whether it's
Hmm.
four might be too many.
Well, look, I'm sort of thinking hopefully I can do the same number of yards as I did this year over four backyard ultras, but do that same number of yards over two backyard ultras. So that way I'm
Yeah,
getting better, more yards per race. Um, yeah,
yeah.
but we'll see how we go anyway. Yeah, but so is representing the UK at the Set Champs the ultimate for you, or have you even got like bigs on your radar as well?
Look, I'm just new to. I'm so new to. I'm working out how you qualify for things and what goes on here and there. So as I understand it, you have to either win the team champs event to get
Yeah,
to big the following year, or you've got to be on the at large list. Yeah,
yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd love to. That it feels very special. The prospect of representing Great Britain at a team World Championships event, that would be a memory that would live forever.
yeah,
And my daughters want a free holiday back to England.
yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I mean, I'd love to go to Bigs. I'm really excited about following the race this weekend.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Like, yeah, I'm excited as well. Like, so who are your top three picks, and how long do you think it will go for?
Ah, I did say to Sam Harvey, I'd love to see him completely fit and going into one of these with a full bill of health because he was struggling before Dead Cow and this one as well. He just hadn't run much. But if I had to put my mortgage on one runner, I'd probably Gore.
Yeah,
But then yeah, Harvey Lewis has got home advantage. He's got form on that track.
yeah,
Um, it just seems like the end for Phil Gore could be a long way past 119.
mm.
But then he didn't have it easy the last time he was there, did he?
Yeah. He did 100, but I think it was a mix between a leg injury and hallucinations that got him in the end.
Yeah,
Um,
he's also done a lot of loops this year, hasn't he? I wonder.
mm,
I'd be interested to know out of the sort of top 10 finishers at Bigs this year, how many loops they've done this year, whether
mm.
there's any sort of um, whether that reconciles somehow with you.
Yeah, well, I think when I'm just off the top of my head, when I'm thinking about most of the big names, a lot of them have done a lot. Like Phil's broken 100 this year, Sam has, Moran has, Oriole has. I mean, Harvey Lewis did 90 odd at to Cow Gully. So Lukacs did 116 earlier this year. So there's that Russian bloke Ivan who did 106. Right, so Lukacs did 116. Ivan did 106 earlier this year. So I think all the big dogs, they've all done a lot of yards this year. I think the main thing is that you just have a proper taper going into the race and don't do 100 yards too like a few weeks before. I know there's one bloke who did like 80 odd only this
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah, I did hear that on your podcast. Yeah, that seems wild, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I hope Crawford does well. I really want
yeah,
him to do well.
yeah. Me too. Yeah, him and Jimmy B. I hope they both do well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So you might, well, I'm sure you know, Luke, that at the end of my podcast, I'll ask my guests for three backyard ultra tips.
yeah.
What are your three backyard ultra tips?
My first tip, Pado, is not to listen to anyone's tips
Right.
and to just go and do it. Like I think, I mean, being a lawyer for me, the first 5 years, they were just horrible because you're just surrounded by more experienced people and you
Mm,
just fumble so much. And I've taken that to be the best way to learn, although it can be painful at times and even embarrassing. I just think you've got to get out there and have a go, even if you haven't done much running.
yeah.
You might only do 2 or 3 loops. And I think learning from the feel of it is the best way to learn. So that's my tip number one. Tip number two, probably it's hard because I assume these tips are really for the sort of more the novice. I can't obviously teach those experienced runners anything, but I think doing speed work in your training, although I'm a pretty slow runner generally at Backyard Ultra, I think the speed work's really important because I think it gives you like confidence. It gives you another tool in the pack if you need it at Backyard Ultras, and I think it generally crosses over into your running efficiency. So I would, for anyone who's sort of training for Backyard Ultras, I would definitely encourage them whilst you want to be doing a lot of time on the legs. I would definitely not. I would definitely encourage some speed sessions in
Yeah.
training. Third, Paolo, I think this is something that we just learned by doing, and this wasn't planned at this Shepparton Backyard Ultra. Having my crew being mobile away from the tent, I found to be. I think you're gaining seconds and even minutes that are crucial. For example, prior to Chep, I'd often sort of stress about when I'm going to get to the start line, and sometimes it was a mad dash to get into the corral. Whereas my crew was getting me up into the corral. At 2 minutes, I was getting up and getting into the corral, and they were bringing food and stuff with me, so I wasn't panicking getting to the start line. So, I was having a couple of watermelons and a bowl of Cocoa Pops in the corral,
Yeah.
like just on the edge of the corral. Which,
Yeah.
yeah, I found that to be very helpful for me, is just having the crew being a little bit mobile.
Yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like you've done a really good job briefing your crew on how to do it. And like, so did you tell them before the race, like when things start getting hard, move my chair next to the corral, or did they just do it?
No, that's all credit to them. Yeah, I think Della, my daughter, just said, "Let's get the chair close to the line." Yeah, and that was so helpful. Like that 30 or 40 meters or 50 meters that you might be going from the start line to your 10 at that point in time is really annoying and probably unnecessary if you're not wanting to sleep.
Yeah.
So that was I found that to be really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
You can't really do that when there's 100 runners still in it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, I really like the first one as well, like where you said just go out and do it, because I mean, a lot of people I speak to are a bit who haven't done one before, and I say, oh, you should give one a shot. They're sometimes a bit hesitant because they're like, oh, but I can't go 24 hours. I'll only last 10 hours or something. But I mean, it's not what it's about really. It's just about giving it a go, having fun, and just seeing what you're capable of, I think.
Definitely. Like I think I've gotten a better pain threshold. So I think people often are a bit intimidated by seeing people in so much pain when they're doing this, but you don't have to run to pain. You can just
Yeah.
run to the edge of discomfort, and then next time you might run into the middle of discomfort.
Yeah.
When you look at someone like Sam Harvey, he is running through agony, which I haven't got to that point.
Mm.
I've certainly learned to run through discomfort and into pain, but there's levels, and I think if you can really build it up over time. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you're a perfect example of your first tip as well, like, because you just went into your first backyard ultra without that much running in your legs and you did 12 yards and now your best is 52.
Yeah, it's been a steady rise, and it's been, I think it's been a really healthy way to do it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks heaps for coming on, Luke. I've really enjoyed this conversation and I've really enjoyed following your journey. It's been really impressive, and I've got no doubt you've got plenty more in you as well. Looking forward to
Thanks,
following along.
thanks. And can I say, I just want you to understand um, how important you are to, I mean, just not only to my running journey, having you at a backyard ultra, I
Mm.
think play a role that you probably don't realize how important you are to all of us out there.
Oh,
And
thanks.
yeah, I can't imagine doing a backyard ultra in your absence.
Really, yeah. Yeah, well, I think I have been at every one. Either like at Dead Cow Gully, I wasn't running, but I was there doing the live stream. And I think I have been a runner in all your other ones as well, haven't I?
Yeah, yeah, we all really appreciate what you do.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. No, that's awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, Farah.
Well, don't go anywhere. I'll hit stop and we'll have a chat.
Thank you.